Our society is heavily built on this one idea that you're not enough yet. And only if you upgrade to some future version of yourself, a better, sharper, more disciplined version of you, that's where your real life begins. And so you add, you read, you stack habits, you build systems, you optimize your mornings, your sleep, your focus, your relationships. And things do change, measurably, visibly. But underneath all of that, the exhaustion doesn't lift, the anxiety doesn't quiet, the emptiness after every achievement stays. The feeling that something fundamental is still missing, no matter how much you accomplish, no matter how much you add on, that feeling doesn't go away. It gets only louder. Because nobody told you the most important thing. In physics, there's something called potential energy. A rock sitting at the top of a cliff isn't doing anything. It isn't moving. It isn't striving. It isn't adding anything to itself. But it already contains everything required to create enormous impact the moment it's released. The energy was never missing. It was always there, waiting. Not because something was built into it, but simply because of where it already sits. You are that rock. And every system, every hack, every practice telling you to add more is not taking you closer to the edge. It's pulling you further away from it. So why is it never enough? See, learning is not a problem. A doctor studies to acquire skills, an engineer learns to apply knowledge. That addition is necessary and finite. You study, you qualify, you practice. But that's not what's happening when you lie awake at 3 a.m. wondering why you still feel stuck despite everything you've done. It's not a skills problem. It's an identity problem. The books, the courses, the coaches, and the retreats, they're not promising you a new skill. They are promising you a new self, a better version, a fixed version. And that destination never arrives because the self doing the becoming keeps moving the finish line further and further away from you. A doctor knows when they are qualified. A person chasing a better version of themselves never does. Every system assumes something fundamental is missing that needs to be filled up. Not a skill gap, but a gap in who you are. And that kind of gap has no natural endpoint. In 2021, University of Virginia study found people default to addition-based problem solving even when removal provides a better outcome. It's not a choice. It's a cognitive bias wired into how the brain operates. You don't keep adding because it works. You keep adding because the brain can't help itself. Twice as much is not always twice as good. The work is removal, not addition. Every tradition that has ever pointed toward genuine transformation has said the same thing. Not more, but less. The Taoist principle of Wu Wei, or effortless action, is not about doing nothing. It's about removing everything that obstructs what's already flowing. Potential energy always exists in a system before any action is taken. A compressed spring, a raised weight, or water behind a dam. The energy is already there. Kinetic energy is not something added onto it. It's the same potential energy released by removing what was holding it back. You don't create the movement, you simply release the obstruction. The same principle applies to human potential as well. It was never missing, it was always obstructed. A quote here by Lao Tzu: "To attain knowledge, add things every day. To attain wisdom, remove things every day." So what actually needs to go away? You're not fixing the right thing. Not your habits, not your personality, not your past history, not your story. It's the belief that you are incomplete and missing something. A research by University of Virginia in 21 showed subtraction consistently produces better outcomes, but is almost never the instinctive first move. The entire self-improvement industry is built on exploiting a cognitive bias, not solving a real problem. Every time you enter a new system from the premise of lack, you're feeding the belief that created the exhaustion in the first place. So what actually needs removing? The story of insufficiency that makes the addition feel necessary, of not having the default reasoning that adding more is the only way to make something better. A perfect example of this could be overthinking. Sometimes thinking about an issue over and over again doesn't make it better, doesn't resolve it. It only makes the situation worse. Who you actually are. When you strip everything away and what remains, that's what you actually are. Strip away every system, every identity, every role, every achievement, and every failure. What remains is not emptiness. It's the awareness that was there before any of it began. A child, before it got conditioned, doesn't wonder if they have enough potential. They simply are. The rock at the top of the cliff doesn't need to become anything. It already contains everything required to produce tremendous energy and power. The research on default mode network from Harvard in 2010 says the mind at rest, not striving, not optimizing, returns to a baseline state of clarity and coherence. The nervous system knows how to regulate itself when the interference stops. So, potential is not something that you unlock. It's what's left when you stop covering it. Another quote here by Lao Tzu: "When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you." The most radical thing you can do right now in a world built entirely on the premise of more is to stop and be aware of who you are now, in this moment. Not because you've given up, but because you've finally understood what the exhaustion, the restlessness, the missing out on something feeling was actually telling you. The potential was never missing in the first place. The movement, the results, the life you're looking for doesn't always come from adding more to the spring. It comes from releasing what was holding you back in the first place. You were never the problem to begin with. The belief that you always needed fixing was. There's a free ebook in the description below which gives you simple, immediate, and powerful techniques to return back to your awareness on the go, in the middle of your day, without adding anything new to your stack. Peace.